So in our first section of the lecture, Cholesteatoma and chronic otitis media, we will talk in detail about cholesteatoma. In this section, we will talk about what's the origin of cholesteatoma, what are the classification of cholesteatoma, and what's the primary and secondary cholesteatoma. So, cholesteatoma is the presence of keratinizing squamous epithelium in the middle ear or in the mastoid. So, whenever there is keratinized squamous epithelium present in the middle ear or mastoid, this is known as cholesteatoma. It consists of two parts. In first, we have keratinizing squamous epithelium resting on a thin stroma of fibrous tissue. That's the matrix. So this is the matrix you can see, and this is the keratinized squamous epithelium rest on stroma of the fibrous tissue, the matrix. And then there is central white mass consisting of keratin debris produced by the matrix. So here, this is the bone. Then after this, there is fibrous stroma. And then there is matrix, which is stratified squamous epithelium. And then there is the keratin mass. So all these are the structures that make up the cholesteatoma, and cholesteatoma is actually the presence of keratinized squamous epithelium which is present in the middle ear or in the mastoid. So it's actually the growth of the cells which are the keratinized squamous epithelial cells. Origin of cholesteatoma, there are different theories regarding the origin of cholesteatoma. One theory is that there is presence of congenital cell rests. Then there is Whitmack's theory, in which they believe that there is invagination of tympanic membrane. Then there is Rudy's theory, in which there is basal cell hyperplasia. Then we have Haberman's theory. In this, there is epithelial invasion. And then Sadie's theory, which is characterized by metaplasia. So all these are the different theories that they think that can lead to the formation of cholesteatoma. There might be presence of congenital cell rest. There may be Whitmack's theory, which is they think that there is invagination of tympanic membrane by keratinized squamous epithelial cell. In one theory that they believe that there are the cells present in the basal layer, they usually have hyperplasia or they grow, and this leads to Rudel's theory. Then there is Haberman's theory, in which there is epithelial invasion, and then there is Sadie's theory, in which there is metaplasia. So all these are the different theories according to which there is growth of keratinized squamous epithelial cells in the middle ear or mastoid, leading to the formation of cholesteatoma. Next, what are the different classifications of the cholesteatoma? It can be congenital or it can be acquired. The congenital cholesteatoma arise from, since it's congenital means present at birth, so it arises from embryonic epidermal cell rest in the middle ear cleft or temporal bone. So a congenital has to form from the embryonic cells, so it arises arise from embryonic epidermal cell rest in the middle ear or temporal bone. Sites of origin of congenital cholesteatoma, it can be from middle ear, from petrous apex or petrous bone, or it can be from cerebellopontine angle. So these are the different sites of origin of congenital cholesteatoma. Then other is primary acquired cholesteatoma. Primary acquired, then we will talk about secondary acquired. So primary acquired cholesteatoma is because of if there is no history of previous otitis media or pre-existing perforation. So primary acquired cholesteatoma, there is no history of previous otitis media or pre-existing perforation. So it's primary without any history of previous involvement of the middle ear or tympanic membrane. It can be due to invagination of pars flaccida of the tympanic membrane, can be due to basal cell hyperplasia, or it can be due to squamous cell metaplasia. So here you can see this is the retraction pocket. They are showing the retraction pocket of the tympanic membrane. Then basal cell hyperplasia, if you see it's getting cells present in the base, they are getting developed or hyperplasia, excessive growth of the cells, hyperplasia. And then also epithelial invasion through postero-superior perforation. If there is a perforation or hole in the tympanic membrane, there is proliferation of epithelial cell through that perforation, and it can cause cholesteatoma. So this is all the different types of primary acquired cholesteatoma in which there is no pre-existing conditions and there is invagination of pars flaccida, there is basal cell hyperplasia, and there is squamous metaplasia. Then there is secondary acquired cholesteatoma. In this, there is pre-existing perforation in pars tensa of the tympanic membrane. When we talked about the anatomy or the structure of the tympanic membrane, we said it has pars tensa and pars flaccida. So pars tensa, in this condition, there is a perforation in pars tensa, and this is the associated with pre-existing condition. That's why it's secondary to some other condition. So it's secondary to otitis media or perforation, and the primary one was without any previous otitis media or perforation. The theories about this secondary cholesteatoma, there is migration of squamous epithelium, there is metaplasia. Those are the two main theories. So migration of squamous and metaplasia is different. The cells undergo changes and they are ultimately lead to the formation of cholesteatoma. And this is the diagram, if you see, showing the cholesteatoma. Next, what's the genesis of primary and secondary cholesteatoma and how they are formed or developed? Usually the beginning is obstruction of the eustachian tube in primary. There is obstruction of eustachian tube. With the obstruction, there is negative pressure in the middle ear because with the obstruction of eustachian tube, it cannot balance the pressure with the atmosphere. So what happened, there is negative pressure in the middle ear and it leads to the formation of retraction pocket. And then once the retraction pocket is formed, this can lead to primary acquired cholesteatoma. Another cause of primary acquired cholesteatoma, if there is infection of the middle ear, this infection leads to two changes. One is basal cell hyperplasia and proliferation. Other is metaplasia of middle ear or mucosa. So basically we have two changes that leads to primary acquired cholesteatoma. One is obstruction of the eustachian tube that leads to cholesteatoma as a result of formation of retraction pocket. The other important is the infection. If there is infection, that infection can lead to metaplasia and hyperplasia, leading to primary acquired cholesteatoma. In secondary acquired cholesteatoma is, as we said, there is usually pre-existing condition, either perforation or otitis media. So if there is acute necrotizing otitis media, this leads to large central or marginal perforation. This then leads to migration, epithelial migration through perforation, leads to secondary cholesteatoma, and then we have repeated infection through perforation. Sometimes that leads to metaplasia. So in primary cholesteatoma, no pre-existing conditions, usually some infection or as a result of obstruction. In secondary, there is pre-existing perforation or there is otitis media, which is usually necrotizing type, and this can lead to perforation and then metaplasia and hyperplasia. So this is the genesis or pathogenesis, how this developed, acquired and secondary type. Next, expansion of cholesteatoma and destruction of bone. How it spread and how finally it can lead to the destruction of bone or ossicles. Destruction of the bone is mainly due to collagenase, acid phosphatase, proteolytic enzyme. These are all the enzymes. Whenever you see the word is enzyme. So collagenase destroy the collagen of the bone. Acid phosphatase, same, it destroys the bone and solely cause destruction. These enters the middle ear cleft. So once the enzymes are produced and cholesteatoma is there, it enters the middle ear cleft, middle ear. This invades the surrounding structures and then cause destruction of ear ossicles, cause erosion of bony labyrinth. Labyrinth is the inner ear. So it erodes there and cause the destruction of any bone present in the inner ear also. It destroys or cause damage to the facial nerve, incus plate or tegmen tympani, and cause several complications. So once it spread, it enters, cause destruction of the ossicles, destruction of the bone, involves the inner ear. It causes different complications which are all like hearing loss, tinnitus, vertigo, facial nerve paralysis. All these complications can occur. So with the formation of cholesteatoma, there is enzyme production. Enzymes, they can cause damage to the bone and invading surrounding structures, and it can cause different complications. So that was all about the cholesteatoma, its different types, congenital, acquired, primary acquired, secondary acquired, and its spread and complications. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.